The fluorescent lights buzzed like angry hornets overhead, but in that locked bathroom stall, the world had shrunk to the size of my breaking heart. I slammed my fist against the cold metal door, tears hot and furious on my cheeks, whispering the same cursed name over and over, Elena, why? Footsteps echoed outside, hesitant, then resolute, and a key turned in the lock, the sound slicing through my sobs like a lifeline I didn't deserve. She didn't say a word at first, just stood there in the doorway, her shadow long and steady against the tile. Then, with the grace of someone who'd mopped up more messes than most, Rosalind dropped to her knees right there on the grimy floor, her calloused hands reaching for mine through the crack. "Breathe with me, Carino," she murmured, her voice a warm Andalusian lilt wrapped in quiet steel. "Whatever shattered you, it doesn't get to win tonight." In the heart of Seville's sprawling La Alcubilla Mall, where the air hummed with the chatter of tourists haggling over leather goods and the sizzle of churros from street vendors, Callie Harper had come to escape. Not the humid July heat of western Spain, though that clung to her skin like a bad memory, but the wreckage of a life unraveling back in Chicago. At 32, she was supposed to have it all figured out, the corner office at a boutique PR firm, the cozy apartment overlooking Lake Michigan, and Elena, her fiancé of 5 years, who promised forever with diamond ring certainty. But 2 weeks ago, a frantic voicemail from a mutual friend had cracked it open. Elena, entangled with their shared circle's golden boy, a slick venture capitalist named Marcus. "It's not what you think," the message lied, but the photos Callie scrolled through in a haze of jet lag told the brutal truth, lips locked, hands wandering, betrayal etched in high-definition pixels. Callie had fled across the Atlantic on a whim, booking a one-way ticket to Seville because her grandmother, long gone, used to spin tales of flamenco dances under orange trees and sunsets that painted the Guadalquivir River gold. "Find your fire there, mi nieta," Abuela had said in her accented English, her eyes twinkling with secrets Callie never pried loose. Now, wandering the mall's labyrinthine corridors lined with Zara knockoffs and olive oil tastings, Callie felt like a ghost haunting her own story. Her auburn waves were frizzed from the humidity, her blue eyes puffy from nights spent staring at hotel ceilings, and her sundress, once a vibrant floral escape, now bore the coffee stain from a clumsy spill at a cafe where she'd pretended to read a guidebook. It was the 3rd day of her self-imposed exile when the dam broke. She ducked into the 3rd-floor restroom near the food court, the one tucked away from the family crowds, to splash water on her face and swallow the lump in her throat. But the mirror lied back, showing a woman frayed at the edges, lips trembling as fragments of Elena's last text replayed, "We can talk when you get back. This doesn't change us." Lies. All of it. Callie had locked herself in the largest stall, sliding down the wall until her knees hit the tile, and let the sobs come in waves that shook her whole body. That's when Rosalind appeared. At 28, Rosalind Morales was the unseen heartbeat of La Alcubilla, janitor by trade, guardian of lost things by soul. Born in the dusty outskirts of Huelva, she'd moved to Seville 5 years prior, chasing dreams of art school that fizzled under the weight of her mother's medical bills. Now, she pushed her cart through the mall's veins each night, wiping away spills and secrets with equal efficiency. Her olive skin glowed under the harsh lights, her short curls tamed into a practical bob with sun-kissed streaks, and her hazel eyes held the depth of someone who'd learned to forgive the unforgivable early. She wore the standard navy uniform, sleeves rolled to her elbows revealing faint tattoos, a rose for her abuela, a compass for the directions life refused to give. The keyring on her belt was her scepter, she unlocked doors others pretended didn't exist. Hearing the muffled cries from stall 3, Rosalind paused her rounds, mop in hand, and felt that familiar pull, the one that made her stop for the crying child in aisle 7 or the elderly vendor nursing a sprained ankle. But this was different, raw, adult grief that clawed at the air. She knocked softly. No answer. Knocked again, calling out in Spanish first, "Está bien." Then switching to the broken English she'd picked up from American expats. Silence, broken only by a hitch of breath. With a sigh that carried the weight of her own hidden scars, Rosalind fished out her master key. The lock clicked open, and she stepped in, closing the door behind her to shield this stranger from the world's indifferent gaze. Callie startled, scrambling back, her face a mask of smeared mascara and defiance. "Get out," she gasped, voice cracking. "I don't need pity." Rosalind didn't flinch. Instead, she lowered herself to her knees, the damp tile seeping through her pants, and extended her hands palms up, an offering, not an invasion. "Not pity, amiga. Just space. And if you want, a story to drown out the noise in your head." Her accent wrapped around the words like a shawl, warm against the chill of the AC. Callie stared, caught between flight and the exhaustion that pinned her down. There was something in those hazel eyes, not judgment, not the rehearsed sympathy of therapists back home, but a quiet knowing, like Rosalind had knelt in her own ruins and risen anyway. Against every instinct screaming to push away, Callie reached out, her fingers brushing Rosalind's. Rough from labor, steady as an anchor. "It's my fiancé," she whispered, the word tasting like ash. "She cheated with him. Our friend. I flew here to forget, but it's everywhere, the couples holding hands by the fountains, the love locks on the bridge outside. God, I feel so stupid." Rosalind nodded, not interrupting, just listening as the floodgates opened. Callie poured it out, the proposal under Chicago's Christmas lights, the shared dreams of a beach wedding in Miami, the way Elena's laugh used to make the world tilt right. And the betrayal, sharp as a knife twist, how Marcus had been at every dinner party, toasting their future while plotting its end. "I thought we were solid," Callie finished, wiping her nose with her sleeve. "Now I'm just broken glass." "You're not broken," Rosalind said firmly, her thumb tracing a gentle circle on Callie's knuckles. "You're cracked open. There's a difference. Come on, let's get you out of this cage." She stood, offering a hand up, and Callie took it, legs wobbling like a fawn's. They emerged into the restroom's sterile light, Rosalind locking the stall behind them as if sealing away the storm. "Wait here," she said, disappearing into the hall and returning moments later with a damp cloth from her cart and a pilfered bottle of water from the vending machine. "On the house," she winked. She dabbed at Callie's face with surprising tenderness, erasing the black streaks. "There. Now you look like the warrior who crossed an ocean to fight her demons." Callie managed a watery laugh, the first in days. "Warrior. I'm a mess. What's your name, anyway?" "My knight in navy blues." "Rosalind." "And you're?" "Callie. From Chicago." Escaping my own bad plot twist. Rosalind's smile crinkled the corners of her eyes. "Well, Callie from Chicago, Seville's full of better stories. Ever tried real gazpacho? Not the tourist slop, my tia's recipe, with a kick that wakes the soul." It started there, in the shadow of the sinks, an invitation born of impulse, extended over the hum of hand dryers. Callie nodded, too raw to say no, and followed Rosalind out into the mall's evening lull. The crowds had thinned, leaving echoes of laughter and the distant strum of a busker's guitar. Rosalind led her to a quiet bench by the central atrium, where a fountain bubbled like whispered secrets, and pulled a thermos from her cart, contraband gazpacho, chilled and zesty, handed over in a chipped mug. As they sipped, the conversation meandered like the river outside. Rosalind shared snippets of her life, the beach sunsets in Huelva where she'd sketch waves until her fingers cramped, the art scholarship that slipped away when cancer claimed her mother 2 years back. "I clean up other people's chaos now," she said with a shrug that didn't quite hide the ache. "But it teaches you, mess is where the real color hides." Callie leaned in, drawn to that unpolished honesty. Back home, Elena's world was all polished edges, gallery openings, networking brunches. Rosalind was earth and salt, her laughter a rumble that vibrated through Callie's chest. By the time the mall's lights dimmed for closing, Callie felt the knot in her gut loosen, just a fraction. "Thank you," she said as Rosalind walked her to the exit. "For kneeling in my mess." Rosalind paused under the neon glow of the Solita sign, her gaze steady. "Anytime, Callie. Grief's a thief, but kindness. That's the lockpick." She scribbled her number on a scrap of receipt, text if the night gets heavy. Or for more soup. And pressed it into Callie's palm. That night, in her sterile hotel room overlooking Plaza de España, Callie lay awake, the receipt crinkling under her pillow. Elena's texts pinged in, apologies laced with excuses, but for the first time, she let them go unread. Instead, she typed a simple message to an unknown number: "Soup sounds good. Tomorrow." The days blurred into a tentative rhythm, Seville's golden haze weaving them closer. Mornings, Callie wandered the Alcazar gardens, tracing the intricate tiles that mirrored her fractured heart, while afternoons found her at the mall, not shopping, but lingering near the Janitor station, where Rosalind's shift overlapped with her errands. It was innocent at first, shared coffees from the cart by the escalators, Rosalind sneaking her into the staff break room for bites of pan con tomate slathered in olive oil from her family's grove. Rosalind opened doors beyond the literal, guiding Callie through hidden alleys off Calle Sierpes, where street artists sprayed murals of defiant lovers under the watchful eyes of Gothic spires. "See that?" she'd say, pointing to a silhouette of two women entwined in graffiti roses. "That's Seville's secret pulse. Not the cathedrals, but the stories etched in the cracks." Callie soaked it in, her Chicago cynicism softening like bread in milk. She shared her own fragments, the poetry slams in Wicker Park where she'd first kissed a girl at 19, the terror of coming out to parents who loved her but froze in awkward silences. "Elena's the only one who made it feel easy," she confessed one evening, as they sat on the Triana Bridge watching ferries slice the river. "Or so I thought." Rosalind listened, her arm brushing Callie's in the press of dusk strollers, a touch that lingered, electric. "Easy's a lie we tell ourselves," she replied, voice low. "Real love. It's the storm you dance in." Her eyes held Callie's then, a question unspoken, and for a heartbeat, the air thickened with possibility. Callie's pulse raced, she leaned in, lips parting, but a group of laughing teens jostled past, shattering the moment. They pulled apart, cheeks flushed, the bridge lights flickering like hesitant stars. By week's end, the pull was undeniable. Rosalind invited Callie to her tiny apartment in Triana, a walk-up above a pottery workshop where the air smelled of clay and jasmine. "Nothing fancy," she warned, unlocking the door to reveal walls splashed with her sketches, bold abstracts of crashing waves and intertwined forms, lit by strings of Edison bulbs. They cooked together, paella simmered low, saffron threads blooming like hidden desires, wine poured from a jug that tasted of sun-ripened grapes. Seated cross-legged on the worn rug, plates balanced on knees, the barriers crumbled. "I haven't drawn in months," Rosalind admitted, gesturing to a half-finished canvas in the corner, a woman's profile, fierce and tender. "Feels like starting over scares me more than staying stuck." Callie set her fork down, heart hammering. "Then start with me." She closed the distance, her hand finding Rosalind's jaw, thumb tracing the curve of her lip. The kiss was slow, inevitable, a spark to dry tinder. Rosalind tasted of salt and spice, her fingers threading into Callie's hair with a reverence that made tears prick. They melted into it, bodies aligning like puzzle pieces long separated, the world narrowing to the press of breaths and the distant strum of flamenco from the street below. It wasn't passion's frenzy but something deeper, a recognition, souls brushing after lifetimes adrift. They talked until dawn, tangled in sheets that smelled of lavender soap, sharing vulnerabilities like sacred texts. Rosalind confessed her own ghosts, a first love lost to a family's disapproval, the quiet nights wondering if she'd ever feel whole again. "You make me want to paint the light back in," she whispered, tracing Callie's collarbone. Callie, for the first time since the betrayal, felt seen, not as Elena's shadow, but as her own vivid self. "You're my plot twist, Rosalind. The kind that saves the story." But Seville's sun rose on realities neither could outrun. Callie's return ticket loomed, a non-negotiable tether to Chicago's demands, the job she'd begged for remote work, the friends circling with Elena's half-truths. And whispers of doubt crept in, Rosalind's life rooted here, in shifts and sketches, Callie's a whirlwind of what-ifs across the sea. The first fracture came subtly, over a shared lunch in the mall's rooftop garden, where bougainvillea cascaded like spilled wine. Callie's phone buzzed incessantly, Elena's calls, now desperate, pleading for reconciliation. "She's sorry," Callie said, silencing it with a swipe, but her voice wavered. "Says it was a mistake, that Marcus was. Temporary insanity." Rosalind's fork paused mid-air, her hazel eyes clouding. "And you? Is forgiving her your happy ending, or just the one you know by heart?" The question hung, sharp as a thorn. Callie deflected with a laugh, but seed of unease took root. That night, alone in her hotel, she answered Elena's voicemail, "I need time. But maybe." The words felt like surrender, a betrayal of the woman who'd knelt for her in the stall. Days stretched, the idol fraying. Rosalind noticed the distance, Callie's glances at her watch, the way her laughs rang hollow. They still met, stolen hours in hidden patios sipping vermouth, walks along the river where Rosalind pointed out herons gliding like forgotten prayers. But tension simmered, unspoken. The storm broke on a humid Thursday, as thunder rumbled over the Sierra Morena. Callie had promised to meet Rosalind after her shift, but Elena's latest email, "I'm booking a flight. We can fix this in person," froze her in the atrium. Panic clawed, what if Elena was right? What if this Spanish interlude was just a rebound mirage? She texted Rosalind, "Running late. Rain check." Rosalind waited anyway, cart abandoned, rain slicking her curls as she scanned the crowds. No Callie. Hours later, back in her apartment, her phone lit with a half-hearted "sorry, family stuff." The lie stung deeper than silence. Rosalind paced, sketches tearing under frustrated fingers. She'd fallen, hard, irrevocably, for the woman with lake blue eyes and a laugh like wind chimes. But love, she'd learned, often came with exit strategies. Callie, meanwhile, holed up in a Triana taberna, downing sangria until the world blurred. Elena's words echoed, "You're impulsive, Cal. This trip. It's your pattern, running instead of facing." Was it true? Rosalind's touch lingered on her skin, a ghost of warmth, but doubt whispered louder. By midnight, drunk on regret, she dialed Elena. "Come," she slurred. "Let's try." The betrayal unfolded in layers, each more cutting. Elena arrived 2 days later, all polished poise and tear-streaked apologies, sweeping into Seville like a force of habit. They met at Callie's hotel, Elena's arms enveloping her in familiar jasmine perfume. "I was lost without you," she murmured, lips brushing Callie's temple. "Marcus was nothing, a stupid lapse. Forgive me." Callie wavered, the pull of history strong. They spent the afternoon in tangled sheets, reconciliations fired dim but comforting. Elena spun visions, therapy, a renewed commitment, the wedding back on track. "This place. It's beautiful, but it's not us," she said, gazing at the Giralda spire from the balcony. "Let's go home. Together." Guilt gnawed at Callie, Rosalind's texts unanswered, her kindness repaid with ghosting. She drafted apologies, deleted them. "It's better this way," she told herself. Rosalind deserves someone rooted, not a transient heart. But the lie tasted bitter. Rosalind, piecing it together from Callie's evasive replies and a spotted social media post, Elena tagged in a sunset selfie, felt the ground shift. Betrayal, she thought, was Elena's domain. Yet here was Callie, slipping back into that old script, leaving Rosalind as the intermission fling. Anger flared, hot and righteous, but beneath it, a deeper wound, the fear that she, too, was unchosen, her life too small for someone like Callie. The confrontation brewed, inevitable as a sirocco wind. It erupted in the mall, of all places, neutral ground turned battlefield. Rosalind's shift had her polishing the atrium floors when Callie appeared, Elena on her arm, laughing at some shared joke as they window shopped for souvenirs. The sight hit like a gut punch, Callie's hand in Elena's, the easy intimacy Rosalind had tasted but never claimed. She straightened, mop forgotten, and crossed the polished expanse. Callie, she called, a voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. Callie froze, color draining. Rosalind. Hi. This is Elena, my. I know who she is. Rosalind's eyes locked on Callie's, hazel storming with hurt. The one who broke you. Or did I dream that part? Elena's brow furrowed, sensing the undercurrent. Excuse me. Callie, what's this about? The atrium hushed, shoppers pausing like extras in a scene gone awry. Callie's throat worked, words failing. It's not, Rosalind, you don't understand. Elena and we're working things out. Working out. Rosalind's laugh was sharp, echoing off the glass dome. Like erasing the coffee stains on your dress that night. Or the way you kissed me like I was your horizon. She stepped closer, voice dropping to a fierce whisper. You let me kneel for you, Callie. Showed me your cracks, let me believe in the light. And then you boarded her ship without a word. Tears welled in Callie's eyes, Elena's grip tightening on her arm like a vice. Rosalind, please. It was a moment. Beautiful, but a moment. The word cracked like thunder. Rosalind's hands clenched, the compass tattoo flexing. That's what they all say when the real world's too scary. I thought you were different, brave enough for the storm. But you're just another tourist, collecting hearts like postcards. Elena tugged Callie away. We're leaving. This is inappropriate. But Callie resisted, rooted, the weight of Rosalind's pain crashing over her. Wait, Callie pleaded, pulling free. You're right. I ran, from her, from you, from me. Elena's safe, familiar. You terrify me because you're real. Her voice broke, drawing stares. I don't know how to choose without losing. Rosalind's facade splintered, tears tracing her cheeks. Then choose yourself, Callie. Not the ghost of what was, or the dream of what might be. Me. I'll keep mopping floors and painting truths. But don't come back unless you're all in. She turned, cart rattling behind her, disappearing into the service corridor, a door closing not with a key, but with finality. Callie stood adrift, Elena's whispers lost in the roar of her regret. The mall spun on, indifferent, fountains bubbling mockingly. The aftermath was a slow unraveling, threads of what-ifs pulling tight. Elena stayed another week, the reconciliation a fragile scaffold of dates and declarations, flamenco shows where Callie's mind wandered to Rosalind's sketches, river cruises haunted by the bridge's almost kiss. But the passion had soured, Elena's touches felt obligatory, her apologies rote. You're distant, she accused one night, over tapas in a candlelit bodega. Is it her? This janitor? Callie's silence was damning. It's us, Elena. We were cracked before Marcus. I just see it now. The breakup came quietly, in the hotel lobby under the watchful eye of a Moorish arch replica. Elena's eyes hardened, luggage in hand. You came here to heal, but you're chasing shadows. Call me when you grow up. The revolving door swallowed her, leaving Callie with an empty echo. Grief's double edge cut deep, loss layered on loss. Callie wandered Seville's streets like a penitent, the city's beauty now a mirror to her folly. She texted Rosalind once, I'm sorry. For everything. No reply. Days bled into a week, her flight home looming like judgment. On the eve of departure, desperation drove her to La Alquibilla after hours. The mall was a ghost town, security lights casting long shadows. She found Rosalind in the storage room off the restrooms, the same door that started it all, sorting supplies, back rigid. Rosalind, Callie whispered, slipping in uninvited. Rosalind stiffened but didn't turn. You shouldn't be here. Guards'll boot you. I leave tomorrow. Callie's voice trembled. But I couldn't go without this. She stepped closer, the air thick with unsaid elegies. You were right. I chose wrong, chose fear over fire. Elena's gone. For good. Rosalind finally faced her, hazel eyes guarded, arms crossed over her heart. And now? What? I'm the consolation prize. The Spanish summer you pack away with your tan. No. Callie closed the gap, hands outstretched, not to touch, but to bear. You're the truth I almost missed. The one who saw me shattered and didn't look away. I don't expect forgiveness. But if there's a chance, let me stay. Or come with me. Rewrite this ending. Silence stretched, broken only by the distant hum of the AC, Rosalind searched Callie's face, tracing the freckles, the plea in those blue depths. Her own walls trembled, love's risk, the ache of potential loss. Then, slowly, she uncrossed her arms, fingers brushing Callie's. You think it's that easy? Doors don't unlock with pretty words. But her voice softened, the lilt returning. Show me, then. Not with grand gestures, but the quiet ones, the kneeling kind. Callie nodded, sinking to her knees on the concrete, mirroring that first night. Not in despair, but devotion. I will. Every day. If you'll let me. Rosalind hesitated, then joined her, kneeling face to face, foreheads touching in the dim light. Tears mingled, warm and cleansing. Okay, she breathed. But slow. Like the river. We build from the mud up. They rose together, hands entwined, the storage room transforming from cage to cradle. Outside, Seville slumbered under a canopy of stars, the Guadalquivir whispering approvals. Callie's flight. Deferred. Rosalind's sketches. Resumed, now with dual portraits, two women, hands laced, horizons shared. It wasn't a fairy tale's flourish, no grand wedding under orange blossoms, no erasure of scars. Life's drama lingered, visa tangles, cultural chasms, the daily grind of compromise. Callie took freelance gigs from a corner desk in Rosalind's apartment, her PR polish yielding to poetic emails. Rosalind enrolled in night classes at the university, mop shifts funding brushes that danced freer. Betrayals healed not in forgetting, but in forgiveness, of self, of each other. They danced flamenco in Triana squares, Callie's steps clumsy but earnest, Rosalind's laughter the music. On quiet nights, by the river, they'd recount the story, the mall stall, the kneeling, the door that closed on one life to open another. In the end, kindness wasn't a single act, but a constellation, points of light connected across oceans and aches. And in western Spain's embrace, two women found their way home, not to a place, but to the profound grace of being chosen again and again.